And welcome to Netflix and Kill Miniaturized Edition today.
You're shrunk?
Yeah. No,
we're all shrunk.
We're all shrunken today. And who's talking about some maximum shrinkage? Why, it's me, Nick the Merc with a mic, and my fellow unapologist.
Just sounds wrong.
That's...
I mean, it's better than maximum blockage, I guess, but still, it's weird.
Ugh. It's not a great... Don't ever say those combinations of words to me again.
Anyway, I'm Travis, yes.
And of course, we have our special guest unapologist Skyping in with us right now.
I am your buddy, your friend, your pal, your small soldier, Jon Romo.
Yes. My major chip hazard. And of course, you guys remember John from some of our previous podcasts. He runs the We Are Error site over there and co-hosts with his lovely partner, Chris Herman. And they do
Let me tell you, it's been a while since I've actually been on a microphone because me and Chris are like changing up what we're going to be doing. So we're kind of like in a middle ground right now. And so I think this is the first time I've talked to a mic in like 3 weeks and said that intro. And boy, does it feel good to be back.
Awesome. We're glad to break your streak there. That's pretty cool. But yeah, where can the people find your content then for your video game show?
Well, you can find us right now. We still have the We Are Error SoundCloud up, and you can go to weareerror.net for the backlog of the shows. But for right now, just follow at We Are Errorcast on Twitter, getting those plugs in early, at your buddy John and at Christopher J. Herman, because we're in the middle of revamping the way things go down, and we'll probably have a new episode of something up middle of February.
Awesome. All right, and what is the film we are talking about today, guys? Why, it is none other than the Joe Dante film, Small Soldiers.
Mm-hmm. Globotech Defense System. In a secret lab, the world's most advanced military microprocessor has been created. But the Cold War is over. For Globotech to survive, new markets must be found. Now, all that power has been placed into the brain of a fighting machine unlike any known to man. They made it strong. They made it clever. They made it small. They made a mistake.
Major Chip Hazard reporting for duty, sir.
Wow, voice activated.
Commandos, team Peck. Tail dog, soldiers. Rick Bazooka, ready to spring into action.
Butch Meathook, prepared to go to distance.
Hit Nitro, demolition.
Kip Killigan, sharp as a razor. You are the best of the best.
Heartland Play Systems.
I'm having trouble with the Commando Elite. It's like they're alive.
Let's roll some armor. We got us a war to win.
The few.
We have met the enemy. He is big. He is fat. Yeah.
The proud.
He has revealed a weakness.
Alan, please, you have to help.
Major Chip Hazard wants a war. We'll give him a war.
The small.
Who you calling small?
This summer.
Babes at 12 o'clock.
Join the Commando Elite.
Gentlemen, those are reinforcements. Commandos, attack! No mercy!
Incoming!
Small soldiers.
Command post to Rick Bazooka, report.
It's just a flesh wound, sir.
You have to be crazy not to be scared.
Those of you who are not familiar with Small Soldiers,
Or don't remember it.
if you ever the 90s release, John, this was your pick. What is Small Soldiers actually about?
Well, it is about soldiers, and they're really small. No, two bumbling idiots that work at a toy company that is recently overtaken by Globocorp, a military industrial complex type organization. These two guys put military grade microchips inside some children's toys, and of course, things don't go as they planned.
I really like this premise because it requires a lot of suspension of disbelief with military technology finding their way into toys.
Well, I bet you they were on when they thought of that idea, Nick. Weapons grade crystal meth.
Sure. Those, inside joke for anyone who goes to our trivia panels at our New York conventions. I'm not sure if we ever mentioned weapons grade crystal meth.
We just leave it.
But yeah, this is a crazy movie that I cannot believe. Like, well, one, it starts off with the pitch meeting to Denis Leary, who Denis Leary comes in as the head of Globotech,
the CEO.
Yeah, and David Cross and what's the other actor here?
Jay Moore.
Yeah, they give their individual pitches for one, the Gorgons, which are like a learning kind of Sesame Street type monsters that help children learn, and the Commando Elite, which are basically, I guess in this universe, G.I. Joe was never created.
You better not have been.
Because those are definitely G.I. Joes that he just made. It's just like, you how is this special? You made G.I. Joes. And of course, Denis Leary gets a look at the commercial where the toy punches its way out of the box. And he's like, now can they actually do that? Punch their way out of the box and stuff? Like, you know what?
No, because that'd be stupid.
You know what I'm sick of? And then he goes on a patented Denis Leary rant.
You know what I'm sick of? I'm sick of commercials that show us 4x4 trucks popping up to the top of Mount Rushmore and parking on top of Abraham Lincoln's head, okay? I'm sick of shampoo commercials that try to convince women they can look like Claudia Schiffer after one cycle of rinse and repeat.
A la the rant from Demolition Man, or The Ref, or basically anything Denis Leary does.
It's kind of his thing.
That's his thing, is to go on this rant. And he says, like, I want them to move around and actually, play with the kids and be these most amazing toys ever. So they end up using the military chips because it's like, well, I'm just gonna use really smart chips. And I guess it just, do they not, like, the costs and the materials, you'd think military hardware like that, and what do they sell them for where it's revealed later?
Like $79, I think it was.
Wasn't it, like, yeah, or something? It's like
$79.99. That was like the original cost of what they were selling them as.
I thought it was even cheaper for whatever reason.
I think that was it.
That actually makes more sense to me. Yeah, that is a ridiculously complex plan to sell toys to children. But the commercials we see for Globotech make it look like a family-friendly military industrial complex. It's weird. It's not unlike a commercial I would see out of RoboCop or something.
Yeah.
Like one of those fake ones. But John, what drew you to Small Soldiers? What drew you to pick this, obviously a cinematic masterpiece that we're talking about today?
Well, actually, I think it was usually because you guys reached out to me about Netflix, and I realized, oh boy, have not been on Netflix in a while. And I'm sorry, I think someone dies in this movie. That was the criteria, right? I think someone dies in this movie.
Okay, so this might be one of the few ones where no human dies in Netflix and Kill for the
Semantics.
Sign. But if we are willing to grant the toys lives, in which, because they are sentient, they are murdered, then it's a slaughter. It's a slaughter fest near the end point here, where the Commando Elite just get mowed down. So I think we can add that one there.
Okay, cool. Because it was between this and Boss Baby, and I just didn't think anybody died in Boss Baby.
I mean, I might die at the end of that movie because I don't know if I'd be able to live through it.
But I just saw the cover, and I remember this was one of my favorite movies growing up. And funny enough, the day I was watching it, I found out that Alamo Drafthouse had a showing of this movie, like 4:00 on a Sunday afternoon, because this year is its 20th anniversary come July.
Nice.
Which every year I get older, guys, and every year we're closer to death. It's just constant reminders.
Thank God.
But it was just one of those movies that like really was ingrained in me, and as I was watching it again, I could remember why. There's certain musical cues, and there's a certain Barbie moment that when I was little was the first movie I remember watching that I just had to turn it off. Like, I got it for Christmas. I was watching the movie up until that point, and I was like, fuck this. Turn it off. I'm going to play Aladdin on my Genesis.
We will... That's such a specific reference. Aladdin on the Genesis. But you know what? We will talk about that Barbie scene once we get to it.
Yeah, we'll have
we
to.
will talk about that in just a minute. I want to talk a little bit more about the beginning part here, because we haven't even mentioned our hero, Alan.
As he is.
Alan
Baby
Abernathy.
Drake Bell.
What's that?
Baby Drake Bell.
Okay. Yeah, I do not get the reference, but...
You don't... Wait, hold on. Stop the podcast. You don't know Drake and Josh?
Drake and Josh. Oh, you mean that...
Nickelodeon show.
Nickelodeon show?
Yeah, yes. The King Nickelodeon show, Drake and Josh.
Oh, okay. I remember they had beef a while back. That's the only thing I remember.
Okay. Moving on. 90s kids will know, I guess. I don't know who knows this references.
No, that was on way after I stopped watching Nicktoons, and I watched way past. Although I only usually watch Nicktoons, I wasn't much more into the sitcoms.
Okay. I watched Nickelodeon way longer than I probably should have. So.
I'll watch some shit out of Pete and Pete. I'll tell you what that right now. I watched Pete and Pete like nobody's business. But rather than talk about old Nickelodeon shows, yeah, Alan is a troublemaker kid that doesn't really do anything troublemakery in this movie other than, steal toys off the back of a truck.
I mean, steal's a strong word for what he does.
Well, he does end up paying. I guess he was gonna pay for them and then make for the money. So it was just like a sideways back end deal that he made with the truck driver played by the legendary Dick Miller, B-movie star of the 80s and early 90s. Love that guy. Also was in Gremlins, was Joe Dante's other big film. And yeah, a lot of similarities to Gremlins in this one. I actually thought Dick Miller might have been like, "Oh my God, they're in the truck now. They're just like the little monsters were in the plane in the previous movie. Now they're in my truck. Just can't escape these little bastards." But yeah, they have a whole set. Like they take a whole set out to sell in Alan's father's toy store, which is a lame toy store, by the way. Like, it doesn't sell any military action.
Like, basically no violent toys at all.
Fuck that.
Where's the fun?
Where are the Ninja Turtle toys? And then I realized, like, it's not really the fact that they can't sell military hardware. They just can't sell anything that's licensed. It's a merchandising thing. That's why everything in the store is completely generic.
Like brown boat.
Like brown boat. There's a doll in the back, a nondescript dolls in the background, little like wooden things. It's a lame toy store.
Yeah, it's just like signs for Raggedy Gerald and Raggedy Jenny. Just like off-brand.
Just off-brands of, like, you can't even get Anne.
Adult Mutant Ninja Tortoises.
No, it's Battletoads. Like, they got knockoff ones. All right, the
Spider Frogs. Okay, I'm done.
Spider Frogs. Yeah, I actually kind of like Alan as a protagonist. Probably because they avoid some of the tropes. Like, he actually is pretty good with talking to girls. Like, Kristen Dunst shows up. Very young Kristen Dunst shows up as Christy to kind of get a toy for her little brother. And she, basically they start a dialogue. It becomes flirty pretty quick. And Alan's it's one to like receive. Like, he shows that he's a little nervous every time before he talks to her, but then when he starts actually talking to her, he's pretty smooth. For a kid anyway.
Which is really nice to see. I feel like in these types of movies, our hero is, like you guys said, this kind of, he's ill-equipped to talk to anybody who is pretty. And where Alan's just kind of like nervous, like anybody would be when Kirsten Dunst walks into your store. But then he's like, oh, okay, she's normal. She likes Led Zeppelin or whatever.
No, she's not normal. That's the thing. She's not like other girls.
She's not like other girls. That's true.
You're not like other girls.
I know.
Me and Travis kept making that joke every time she would display a different personality trait in the movie. Is that you got to remember, Travis? She's different from other girls. She likes Led Zeppelin.
Also likes still using lawnmowers to murder sentient toys, but we'll get to that later.
Yeah. I mean, we do get to see her room later, which is full of Barbies, different, all these different types of Barbies, like collected on the wall. And then there's girly posters, and then there's like one Led Zeppelin poster right next to her bed as the only thing that seems to be out of place. Otherwise, it's a stereotypical 90s girls' room.
You know, it had me thinking, maybe she is like most girls.
I don't know. I'm pretty sure there's a lot of evidence to the contrary for this film. Like, she likes Led Zeppelin.
She also likes Led Zeppelin.
Yeah, she also you're nailing me down here. I'm sure she has other personality traits. I'm positive that she must have other ones, but they're not coming to me right now. Let's talk about the parents. Hey, there's that one shitty parent from the Transformers movies in here.
That's where I know him from. Thank you. I was thinking about that this whole movie.
He's the annoying parent from the Transformers films. He's basically playing the same exact role.
Kevin Dunn.
That's Kevin Dunn as Stuart Abernathy, or as basically Dad in the movie. Anne Magnuson is Irene, the mother. And I like Anne. Anne is awesome. She doesn't get a lot of screen time, but later in the film, she becomes a badass leader of the...
She's like completely takes control.
Yeah, it's it's a really cool moment for moms. I like it.
Is she the one who just starts lobbing fiery tennis balls back at?
Yes.
Is that her?
Mm-hmm, that's her. Pretty awesome right there. Also, Christy's parents, because Christy lives next door, Christy's parents are played by Phil Hartman.
R.I.P.
R.I.P. And Wendy Shaw. And Phil Hartman, of course, you'll remember him from... He's basically playing his same character from Jingle All the Way. So there's that.
Oh, these cookies are delicious.
Put that cookie down! Those are my cookies. Man, we gotta do a Jingle All the Way. There's no kill in Jingle All the Way, is there? Damn it.
I don't know. Sinbad tries to kill the spirit of Christmas several times.
I think he succeeds. So I really actually like the human characters. It's a pretty good cast. But let's talk about the stars of the film, guys. The Commando Elite.
Commando Elite, fall in.
So the Commando Elite are made up of, let's see if I got their names here.
Well, Chip Hazard, for one.
Major Chip Hazard.
Major Chip Hazard, reporting for duty, sir.
Nick Nitro.
Nick Nitro, demolition is my mission. Served with your father, he's a good man.
Brick Bazooka.
Brick Bazooka, artillery, ready to go full bore, sir. Say it for the enemy.
Butch... What is it?
Meat Hook.
Butch Meat Hook.
Butch Meat Hook, sniper, lethal from any distance, sir.
These names, guys, they're amazing. Let's see what else.
And Kip Killigan.
Kip Killigan, covert insurgent, sharp as a razor.
And Static, was it their communications officer?
Link Static, communications, awaiting dispatch of orders, sir.
Played by Bruce Dern?
Bruce Dern,
Link
yeah.
Static.
You wouldn't believe some of the people that are being played by that are playing the. Oh, of course, we got Tommy Lee Jones as Major Chip Hazard.
Yes.
Playing one of his greatest stereotypical roles ever. Just
wait, we've got Ernest Borgnine who plays Mermaid Man. Jeez, what is this film?
This is a weird film.
And Archer is played by Franklin Jella.
Oh my gosh, Count Dooku himself, right? No, this is a different one. That's not Count Dooku. I got so confused. Oh, but he is Skeletor, so...
Yeah, this is his second time in a toy-type franchise, so that's pretty good. I love these guys. These are the best, psychotic G.I. Joes I've ever seen. Like, they're even designed to where they look unbelievably scary.
Yeah.
Like, they look so fucking scary.
Which one has just the smile? He's just like, the smile's way too big for his face.
Yeah, Brick.
Yeah, it's Brick.
And then Nick Nitro looks like he just escaped a mental facility.
Yeah.
He looks a little bit like, for you wrestling fans out there, Razor Ramon, but if he got fat. That's what he looks like.
And then, of course, their programming is to win, is to beat the Gorgonites.
Mm-hmm.
And whoever basically did the base programming, they didn't do a good job of setting up the, first couple rules of robotics. Because they've basically given these toys AI.
Yeah.
So,
no, it's not even AI, it's real eye, because it's not artificial, they actually learn or something, I don't know.
I hate fucking lines like that so bad, so much.
It's not, not artificial, actual intelligence.
Which
from an
that
artificial
is a good
source.
scene, but still.
So at first they play it like, they basically play like they're toys, and they keep to the shadows. It's basically like Toy Story if Toy Story was a horror film.
Yeah.
And the toys were trying to murder Andy and his parents. So obviously 100 times better. And I really like the recon missions they go on. Like, Static, just takes out these bird eggs just to be a dick.
Mm-hmm.
Like, the commandos are just assholes from the jump. And the reason I talk mostly about the commandos is because we actually see them more than the Gorgonites in the film.
They're in a large portion of this movie.
A large portion of it is to watch them try and look for the Gorgonites, deal with the humans, find a way around the civilians that they find. And
they're also like front and center. They are the poster. It's just them five.
And the Gorgonites, they don't really do much.
They hide.
They just hang around and learn, I guess, because their main programming is to learn. Except they never really, they're really dumb.
They're super dumb.
Man, they never really make it past a certain point of intelligence. Archer especially seems very slow on the uptake.
He's also very much a jerk.
Yeah, even when the parents don't believe their son at some point, no, the toys are alive. He's like, no, look, Archer, say something. And then Archer's like, yeah, I'm not gonna really say anything. And it's like, why didn't you say something? And then he replays back his voice shut up, don't talk to me. And it's like, oh, about the other time I told you to talk. Because if you're supposed to do what I say, I told you to talk, you little smartass. What the hell? So the Gorgonites, let's say that the Commandos and the Gorgonites actually fulfilled their programming correctly and didn't destroy, the Gorgonites weren't destroyed. The Gorgonites are still lame toys.
Mm-hmm.
They're not good. Because...
Wait, hold on. Really? You guys think so? I really love Archer's design. I think that's why when I think about this movie, I do typically think about him. Maybe because soldiers are kind of boring. Something about Archer, at least, is unique enough. Like you said with the soldiers, they're kind of G.I. Joe ripoffs, whereas I think the closest thing you could say the Gorgonites are is maybe He-Man kind of things. Where Archer is just the tiger on two legs.
Yeah.
It's not their appearance that's the boring, it's just them personally.
No, I like their designs. It's just the fact that they're programmed to hide and lose and
learn.
be losers. As far as the villain, because they're supposed to be the villains of the Commando Elite. So it would be like if you designed Cobra and had them be pussies the whole time. Of just having Storm Shadow, that's the one, right? Yeah, Storm Shadow just hides away and just oh, I hope Snake Eyes doesn't find me. And they're lame. Why did someone program them with the learning thing that they had before with the marketing campaign? We missed the scene where David Cross went against protocol and programmed them in with I'm gonna secretly teach kids to learn. Sort of thing.
You bring...
I'm sorry, what was that, John?
I was going to say, you bring up actually an interesting point with all that, because I forgot that technically, you're right, the Gorgonites were supposed to be the bad guys, the people that you wanted to beat up. And when that scene happens at the very beginning, when Denis Leary's no, just make them like super violent. And David Cross, who's also in this movie, is just like, no, wait, isn't that kind of violent, don't you think? And he's like, just call it action. Kids love action. Which, the fact that you guys all think that the soldiers are cool, because they are the coolest, kind of like bleeds into that. And then when you're talking about it, it makes me think, wait, so the soldiers are supposed to be the heroes, but like when we get to know the other side, it's like, why would we destroy them? It's almost like Joe Dante, because I thought about this at the beginning of the movie. Like Joe Dante in this movie, he's kind of like doing an anti-war thing. Just like, no, how about put all the guns down? It's really stupid. It was just like, I never read that at all when I was a little kid watching this movie.
I mean, it's not the most subtle metaphor. And don't get me wrong, I totally get it. And the Gorgonites, like, it's not like you're rooting for the Gorgonites to die the whole time.
Sometimes, though.
Yeah, at some point, I'm just kind of like, I mean, Alan, it's just a toy. Let it die.
Yeah, just shred it. Be done with it.
And let's face it, the Commandos, they seemed, as far as the Gorgonites learning, the Commandos are immediately smarter than them. Mm-hmm. They know pop culture references. They use resources. They gather up guerrilla style tools. They seem to know about, they drug people later.
Yes.
So they know chemical makeup. Like, they are smart motherfucking toys.
I mean, it doesn't really help that we don't see most of the Gorgonites for most of the movie.
Yeah. Like, which were some of them? Punch It, Scratch It, Slam Fist, the unbelievably horrific cyborg guy, the Frankenstein parallel, even though it's like, he's like me. I'm like, well, you're more of a cyborg because they remade you with robot parts.
Yeah.
And you're more RoboCop than Frankenstein. Sorry, guy. Man, that would even made more sense since he's artificial intelligence. Actually,
it's true.
I would have definitely gone with a RoboCop reference rather than Frankenstein. But it doesn't matter because none of them get fucking character development whatsoever. What's the insane one?
The Tasmanian Devil.
Yeah,
that's what I call him.
He gets the most lines out of anybody.
He also seems to be the most intelligent. Or at least maybe he says he actually talks.
Well, that and he knows references. Like, he knows about stuff.
My favorite thing is that fresh out of the box, Major Chip Hazard knows an entire patent scene.
Yeah, they give the patent scene in front of a American flag puzzle, which is just standing up out of nowhere.
I fucking love that, though. It's so good.
You should only regret you only have one life to give. Now let's get that Gorgonite scum. I love this movie. I love how weird it is. I love how violent it is. I love how strange it gets. Like, it's so, we will get to the Barbie scene in just a second, but like this movie gets bonkers in the third act. Like, it just goes fucking nuts. And I love it. But yeah, I mean, I love the little machines that the Commandos make.
Oh yeah.
Like they make a whole, like, there's a whole montage sequence of creating like these vehicles that they drive later. That is amazing. Like, it's like they're about to go into Robot Wars.
Yeah.
Like, if anyone remembers that show. Like, they've made their own their own versions of that. But yeah, the Gorgonites spend most of their time in Alan's room, basically learning about the world. They want to know where Gorgon is, and like Alan never really lays down the law of them. Like, Gorgon's a made-up place, guys. It's not here.
Look, like, if you're so smart, you should be learning. You should have figured that out by now.
Then they give him, like, just because you can't see something doesn't mean it's not there. And I'm like
the wind.
I'm like, okay, that's cute and everything, but you have to mean in the metaphorical sense that you're gonna go find Gorgon. Because Gorgon is not real. So I don't know, like, cause at the end when they go off to find it, like, I don't know, like, it feels weird to me. It feels like Alan has sent them off to die. Probably their ultimate demise.
Yeah, they're gonna die.
Yeah.
I
thought about that for the first time when they're flying off on the boat. I think a bird's gonna pick them up, or
right?
like a bobcat or something's just gonna eat it. What? they're dead.
They'll get caught in a boat somewhere, like in a propeller. It's
the ending is not as, upbeat and uplifting as it might have been when you were a kid. But yeah, you know what else I love about the Commando Elite? That the Gorgonites can't feel the wind because they're plastic, right?
Right.
But the Commando Elite can definitely feel pain.
They definitely know what it is, yeah.
They definitely feel pain. We see them with when they shoot Brick Bazooka, like a bazooka, and shoot him at the bike that Alan is riding.
I don't even get that, because he's supposed to be their ballistics expert, so that means that's because he can be launched like a missile?
Well, he knows... he knows how to be shot from a missile. It's a complex process.
I guess.
And he gets caught up in the spokes of the wheel and gets his legs ripped off.
It's really kind of graphic, to be honest.
Yeah.
And it does that classic scream thing, too.
Yeah, the Wilhelm scream. Yep.
Wilhelm scream, yeah. It does that like twice in this movie.
And he has to go over to his communicator, which is on his waist, and he has to crawl his way over there. He's like, target escaped. Pretty messed up, sir. Hold on, Private, we're coming. And then they insert, like, they look up the manual to insert his legs later.
It's kind of fucked up.
And he's moaning. He's like, oh.
Insert tab A into slot B. Turn until quick. Bite the bullet, pal. It'll be okay.
Here's tape. Let's close them up.
Go ahead, kid. Let it out.
Let it out, kid. Let it out. It's like this whole, like, patch up the rookie scene, which is just, I don't know. The fact that they keep pulling off these classic soldier sequences, but they're toys, is really funny to me for whatever reason.
No, I mean, it's really good. Joe Dante really fit a lot of these references into the movie, and enough to where as an adult you're like, oh, I know that kind of thing. Oh, I know that too. Like, it works on multiple levels, oddly enough.
Yeah, I can't lie. It's a very entertaining film. So let's talk about our first kill, and what might be my favorite kill, which is, of course, Nick Nitro. Poor Nick Nitro, who comes at Alan. Like, everyone else scrambles when they're about to kill Archer, because let's face it, Archer is super dumb.
Yeah, he's just gonna stand there
because they all they do is like make voices like they're the Gorgonites, right. Which Archer must not recognize the voices of the Gorgonites.
Well, there must be, like, if you're thinking of it as the idea that they're a race, like they have their own call, I guess. But yeah, he's just so dumb he doesn't realize it.
And then they grab him up, and they're about to lower him into the garbage disposal of the sink, and Alan comes in to save him. Nick Nitro comes at him with what did he come at him with? Like that?
I don't know what that was.
Like, it was a little like buzzsaw or something. Like,
I thought it was kind of like an electric can opener, but I'm not really sure.
Maybe that's what it was. I didn't get a good look at it.
But it was spinning really fast.
Yeah.
Oh,
like,
yeah.
It almost looked like a dentist's drill at first. And I was like, well, that makes no fucking sense.
Yeah, but then he grabs that out of his hand. He grabs Nick Nitro. Nick Nitro lights this match with this, I'm pretty sure is a fake stick of dynamite.
Yeah.
Or maybe it was an M80. I don't know. Not exactly that threatening. He's like, surrender, scum. And he's like, oh yeah? And he blows up the match and then shoves him into the garbage disposal, in which Nick Nitro just screams bloody murder.
Because, again, sentient robots. Like, it's kind of disturbing.
Oh, God. And then we watch Nick Nitro as he crawls his way back to the commandos, and he dies in Chip Hazard's arms. And he dies with this weird sound. It's like this...
Yeah.
And his fucking mouth opens in like this a gape thing. They seal him up in a fucking protractor bag as like this fucking
body bag.
Yeah, it's weird.
Now here's what happens next.
Oh yeah. So, oh boy. You know what, John? This obviously was one of your nightmares as a kid, as one of mine. Would you like to describe a little bit of the Barbie sequence for us?
Okay, so it's this Well, first, can we talk about the way they're introduced, where all those Commando Elite just get super horny, and it's very funny.
It is. They introduce the Barbie, and it's like, oh my goodness,
completely posable.
Request some R&R, sir.
Request denied.
Request denied.
Damn it. And I'm just like, that was good, because as funny as this joke is, I don't think I want to see toys try and fuck other toys.
Especially when they're like just basically sex dolls to them at first.
Yeah.
LOL. No, but it's this wonderful sequence just full of electricity. Like when watching it this time, I was like, I don't really think this makes much sense. I don't know how you're transferring the chip knowledge to these dolls, because they like put the chip on one of those things you'll get at like a novelty store, where you touch it and the electricity goes around your finger. But essentially it's this Frankenstein inspired scene that makes use of like blenders, and you see a lot of electric currents. And then I love the scene where they use the cupcake holder as sort of like these brain fryer things. And the result, the egg beaters too. The result is these, again, Frankenstein females. Like some of them have their faces melted off. I love when they're fully introduced to Kirsten Dunst, where like half melted. There's one that's just eyeballs. They like have knives attached to them, and they just look scarred up and distorted. And just watching that scene as a little kid, it was just very, it's a very strange turn to me, because it's a lot darker. It's a lot more Frankenstein-esque, I guess.
Yeah, well, the music that they played during that sequence is actually the score from The Bride of Frankenstein. So that makes a lot of sense. And yeah, John is very much right that for whatever reason, they shave down the Barbies to their base elements. Like all the hair is gone, and then
I kind of assumed that was from the process of making them, living.
I'm not sure what that scary fucking process was.
Whatever.
Like even Brick near the end of it is just like, they're alive.
I love that.
And do you know who voices the Barbies, actually? Most of them, anyway.
Yeah, Christina Ricci, and who's the other one? I know the other one.
It's Buffy the Vampire Slayer herself. Sarah Michelle Gellar. Yep.
Nice.
And I love their Valley Girl accents of like, you know what I love is that all of those Barbies, there was Spaceship Barbie, there was Cleopatra Barbie, there was like Spartan Barbie, like there was all these different types, but when they are brought to life, they're all Valley Girls.
Yep.
Hi there. Cannon Fodder Gwendy reporting for duty, sir.
That's what an interesting take. I'm not sure how the fucking the AI works on that one, but it was very strange to me. So that is horror inducing of itself. But
we are actually skipping one other horrible part, is how they got the chip in the first place.
Oh,
a mind
right.
is a terrible thing to waste.
Yeah, and they behead Nick Nitro's body.
Chip Hazard flays his skin off first, because I remember these things like believe they're real. Cracks open his skull and takes out his brain.
Which wouldn't be as disturbing sequence, except the Commandos know how fucked up it is.
And they are acting like it's fucked up, because
Kip Killigan looks like he's about to throw up, and then I think one of the other ones says like, I'm about to hurl. Like, this is so fucking weird.
But Chip is just so badass.
He's got a mission, man. The Gorgonites must die.
For reasons.
Because he hates them. And yeah, I really find this scene super disturbing. Like,
it's disturbing.
It's just, it's weird.
Well, could you imagine that actually happening in like a regular war movie? Like, oh, sorry, we need your brain. Like that would be fucked up.
Yeah. And yeah, I remember the exact reference to when Nick Nitro dies too, because he's like, his battery has run out, but his memory will keep going and going and going. For those of you who remember the fucking Energizer Bunny commercials.
Yep. Oh yeah.
Yeah, I just love how fucking weird the scene is. And of course they use the Barbies to kidnap Kristen Dunst, and they attack her with their horrible Valley Girl accents, and her boyfriend shows up and tries to fight them off, but gets scared away by a bunch of these toys, and I guess doesn't call the cops.
Nah.
Or anything. What a terrible boyfriend.
He's kind of a terrible person. We kind of established that in the movie, though.
Well, I feel like he doesn't get a lot of lines in it. We just see him a couple times. And
see him be super horny.
Yeah, and he's just like, well, I'm just the boyfriend of this film, so you're just going to assume that I'm an asshole, and we'll, move on from our day.
Pretty much.
Well, something I really like is when Kirsten Dunst, I keep forgetting how to say her name, is like being attacked. He's still at the door.
Yes.
Like, he's still right there at the front door. It's just like, were you waiting to come back in, or what were you doing?
No, he even says it. He has a line of like, oh, he's like making up like, oh, well, my car broke down. What can I do? And stuff like that. Like, he is making lines for the reason why he can go back into the house.
Oh.
He's kind of a sleazebag.
Yeah. Yeah, so the scene in which they kidnap Kristen Dunst and then hold her hostage for the Gorgonites is pretty interesting. And I like how Alan's like, oh, all right, he wants a war, and we'll give him a war, and he devises this plan in order to save Kristen Dunst. And he comes in, and it does strike us that like, oh yeah, these things are still toys, because they beat the shit out of the Barbies pretty handily. Like, I think one of the Barbies even screams once Kristen Dunst gets out. I was like, watch out, she has a baton. Oh my god, no.
She's gone postal.
It's a march of death. And yeah, so it's interesting how every once in a while the film kind of remembers like, yeah, it wouldn't be that hard to like overpower these fucking soldiers.
No.
Like, especially with Nick Nitro's death, I'm like, yeah, I mean, they're not exactly
they're not resilient. I mean, they're still made of plastic.
Like, even the gremlins posed a little bit more of a physical threat.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, this leads to one of the better chase sequences, which is the vehicles come out to what I think James Brown starts to play War, What Is It Good For? Which is awesome. Like, the soundtrack of this movie is actually pretty good.
It's really random.
Like, it's so...
it's all thematic.
Oh, sure. It's either anachronistic to what's going on, or actually like kind of fitting to what's going on, which actually leads to one of the best soundtrack choices for the final battle scene, which is pretty good.
I'll tell you what I want, what I really, really want. I'll tell you what I want, what I really, really want. I wanna.
I tell you what I really, really want, John, is to talk about that sequence in the spoiler section, and we're gonna have to get to that pretty soon. But we'll leave that off here, and we'll go into our final thoughts and ratings, and we'll talk about the crazy ending after this. John, I would really like to hear what your overall impression of was the movie after, rewatching it as an adult, and how it kind of affected you differently.
Yeah, so I was looking at Rotten Tomatoes scores, so I didn't really expect much when I decided to pick this movie. It was just, I picked it because it was something familiar, and I hadn't returned to it. Then I saw Draft House was having an anniversary screening, and then I watched it, and I was like, wait. This is pretty good. And I checked Rotten Tomatoes to see if it like had any know-how. It apparently got like a 50%. And then you look at this cast too, that is just stacked. This cast is stacked, and you can tell that Joe Dante and Steven Spielberg thought that maybe they could have because Spielberg produced it, that they could have a Gremlins repeat of some sort, that this could find some success. And I just, it's amazing to me that it didn't. Like, no one really talks about it. I know it had like a PlayStation 1 game that I also played a lot. Also, by the way, we forgot to mention, but somewhere in this movie, Jim Cummings, the voice of Winnie the Pooh, is also in this movie.
He's Oculus, believe it or not.
Oh, the little eye?
The little eye, yeah. Whatever sounds he makes, somehow Jim Cummings is making some of them.
I love this movie so much. This movie has no reason to be as good or silly or fun. It's just a fun 90s movie, and it feels 90s in a lot of areas from all the music choices with War and Wannabe and what's that other one? Another One Bites the Dust. I love when that song comes in too.
Mm-hmm. Well,
there's
a lot of Led Zeppelin in here too.
Yeah, there's a communication breakdown. I think is somewhere in the movie as well. But there's a lot of ingenuity and creativity in giving these little soldiers, power and making them feel threatening. Because I mean, there are often times when I was watching the movie and I was thinking, just hit them. Like, you need to just hit them. Why don't you just swing at them like right now? But like, and we'll talk about it in the final scene, but because they don't deal with them early on, you can tell that these creatures, at least the soldiers, are getting smarter every minute, every hour, and they're learning to build these complex things. And it's really quite fun to see, what the staff put together and what weaponry they gave them. It's a really fun movie. Yes, it's kind of dumb, and the Gorgonites are not really characters, but just to see, it's playful. The cast that is in there, I don't think anyone's really super weak. I actually would say Alan's maybe the weakest, but like Phil Hartman's being fun. Kevin Dunn is being dad very good. Kirsten Dunst is playing her part. It's just everyone is coming to bat for this movie, and especially all of the Commando elite. And there's no need for this movie to be as good as it still is. And it's not amazing, but it's still a fun little treat that I think if you watched it as a child, you'll still light up a little bit at some of these scenes.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. I really thought that this was a fun film. Do you want to give it a number rating? We usually give it a number rating. You don't have to if that's not your jam.
I will give it 7 brain surgeries out of 10.
Okay. Scary, fucked up soldier brain surgeries. Travis, what do you feel overall?
I went into this movie like, I vaguely remember this, and I'm pretty sure it's going to be more terrifying than I actually remember. So my first reaction, it's going to be a lot like Ants.
Mm-hmm.
Because that's another movie we did Netflix on Kill with.
Ooh, is Ants still good?
Ants is interesting. I like Ants, but Ants is like really messed up. Like it's like it has a lot of really fucked. Like you watch people die melting in acid in that film.
Yeah.
Yeah, when it's doing Starship Troopers parody.
Yes, it's completely Starship Troopers. That's my favorite part of that film. Which I don't know why it goes all Starship Troopers all of a sudden.
I don't know. But just going into it, I'm like, you know what? This is pretty much what I'm expecting. And yeah, that's what I got out of this movie, which like, this is something I watched as a child that I really probably shouldn't have because it's really fucked up. Like, despite the fact that no humans die in this movie, it's still, it's played up as like this children's movie, and it's still kind of just a straight up horror movie at times. Like, it's even referencing, Bride of Frankenstein, I guess technically, but it's just weird. And I kind of dig it.
Yeah. I love how that's like our main thing is that we like about it's just weird.
It's just really fucking weird.
And it's kind of
awesome.
Really
it leans into it.
No, it does.
It knows it's weird.
Like, I would really like to see like where this idea came from this whole entire time. Like, you know what? Children aren't scared enough of toys or war, so we're gonna fix that. And this movie's got great one-liners, especially because, it takes on so many pop culture references from when we were kids. And the characters are, everyone's almost like, maybe we should just kill the Gorgonites. Like, maybe they have a point. They haven't made a point, but maybe they have one.
Nah, fuck them. So what would you give it an overall number rating then?
I think I'm actually going to give it the same as John. I'm going to give it a 7 out of 10.
All right.
It was thoroughly enjoyable.
I agree with everything that was just said. See if I can add on anything to it. I love how creative this film is. I like the ingenuity of the Commandos. I love all the little weapons that they make. Flaming disc toaster ovens, just stapler machine guns, fucking
net cannons.
It's this crazy, and I love it. Sometimes it reminds me so much of Gremlins that I'm surprised Kristen Dunst doesn't have a terrible story about her father dying in a Santa outfit out of nowhere. I actually dig the soundtrack, and I don't know, I just really love the vibe it's got going on of just like being weird for weird's sake, and kind of like not worrying about like scaring small children, especially during the Barbie sequence, which apparently they're called Gwendy dolls. I forgot, so that they're totally different.
And
totally
Kirsten
different.
Dunst's character hates them. Like,
yeah. I always hated these things. That was such a weird line. She's like, I always hated these. What? You collect them? What?
You have like all of them. There's no way you hate them.
That would be like me talking about my Ninja Turtle figures. Like, I always hated these. I'd be like, no, that was a lie. I said that in a heated moment. I
didn't mean it.
I did not mean that.
In case they're listening.
Just in case Leonardo over there is listening and is sentient, which I hope not. I don't know, I really love this movie, and I'm glad I got the chance to watch it again, because it just puts a smile on my face of just like, I can't believe they showed this to kids. And I mean, it did have it did change from a PG to a PG-13 rating after a while, which makes sense. I mean, I'm you know what a scene I keep thinking about is when, like, okay, so is this a horror movie? And then the scene I keep thinking about is Major Chip Hazard when he's got Kristen Dunst tied up, and he's goes up to her and whispers,
"Are you scared? We're all scared. You'd have to be crazy not to be scared."
And it has like this echoey effect on it, and I'm like, what the fuck is this?
Yeah.
And so I'm gonna give it a 4 and beyond that out of 5. 'Cause I love the Gorgonites being treated as like kids too, of just like, and what's beyond that? And then after that, is Gorgon after that?
It's obvious after that. You don't know what's after that.
But yeah, such a fun time. Thank you guys so much for listening. We're going to go into a small spoiler section after this, but just in case you don't want, you want to watch Small Soldiers, you want to refresh before you go into that, or if you have never seen it, we will give you that chance. Otherwise, you can check out our back catalog of Netflix and Kills on our channel, UGO Podcast on iTunes, and check out our regular episodes there. We have previous episodes featuring John and some other great guests, so definitely give those a look. You can always follow us on Facebook at UGO Podcast, and of course our Twitter at UGO Podcast, as well as our Instagram and all that good jazz. John, where can the people find you?
You can find me at your buddy John, no H, on Twitter, or go to weareair.net. I'm sure we'll update that soon as we have our new show idea. And I could tell you, me and my co-host, my partner, Christopher J. Herman, have a lot of fun ideas planned for the future. Just got to get married first. Not to Chris.
No, never to Chris.
I was just confused as you said. Like, that's cool and everything. So yeah, we're gonna go into a small musical break, and we'll be back right after this.
We are the Commando Elite. Everything else is just a toy.
Yo, I'll tell you what I want, what I really, really want. Don't tell me what you want, what you really, really want. I wanna really, really, really wanna take.
So guys, do you want to hear something amazing about this film?
Sure.
Is that what the film almost, the Commandos were almost voiced as?
Oh yes, I actually did read this.
Did you read this?
Yep.
Okay, so Joe Dante originally wanted the cast of Predator to voice the Commandos.
And who's going to be Chip Hazard then?
That would be Arnold Schwarzenegger as Chip Hazard. Shane Black would have been Kip Killigan. Carl Weathers would have been Butch Meathook. Jesse Ventura as Brick Bazooka. And Sonny Landham would have been Nick Nitro. And Bill Duke would have been Static? Really? Bill Duke? Okay, that seems a little bit miscast. But anyway, I love that so much. And you know what? That would have been cool for Brick Bazooka too, because he's been like, I don't got time to bleed. Also, I can't bleed because I'm a toy. But welcome back to Netflix and Kill, a spoiler section for Small Soldiers. I can't imagine if you're listening to this, you've probably watched Small Soldiers. I mean, if you've seen it on Netflix and you like, I need to see a review, listen to a review before I watch that movie. That's almost as long as the movie now.
Yeah.
I don't think anyone has done that.
Probably not.
But, oh my god, this ending is great because, Kristen Dunst and what was his name? Alan, they, get chased away by the Commando Elite during their awesome chase montage with the little chainsaw car, the flamethrower car. I think the one shoots staples or nails or something, and it's awesome. One shoots those things that corn on the cob. Like, what are those?
I just call them corn holders, I guess. I don't know.
Yeah, I guess. And Alan has to rip one out, and it sounds like he's ripping something out from an apple. It's like a weird sound effect. They all fall off of a cliff, which is their version of a cliff because it's basically like, 3 feet? Like, they fall 3 feet and explode.
Everything explodes in this movie.
I'm like, what was those cars made out of?
Meh.
Like, they had so much explosives.
I do love, too, how they all connect to each other for no reason.
Yep.
While they're driving, It is just so it's more convenient so they all explode together.
Yes.
Well, I mean, maybe they're in the middle of forming Voltron. We don't know.
That would have been awesome.
They're going to make a giant Chip Hazard. I'm just like, aha! And then Nick Nitro would have been like, now I'm a leg, since I lost my legs. But yeah, all the commandos die horribly, screaming, bloody murder, begging for mercy. And Chip gets messed up in the face, but he finds a toy store in which a bunch of commandos.
Which there is a giant Chip Hazard.
Yep. So, and the company's doing the responsible thing of recalling all of the toys before they get sent out to mass market.
Mm-hmm.
So we don't have to worry about this going global and the commandos taking over the world. But Chip does manage to get a truck full of them by hijacking Dick Miller's car. And he gets a whole truck full of them. But strangely enough, when they show up at the house later, there are no other Chip Hazards.
Love that. I love that so much. That's just a nice attention to detail because Chip knows there can only be one commander.
Yeah. And do you think he like sent them all off and just kept them?
Oh, he killed them.
Or did he just murder them?
You know that.
Like are there just a bunch of decapitated Chip Hazards in the back?
Damn right there are.
Like he's collected their heads and scalps and whatever.
Well, I didn't think. Do they have to be activated or are they just like on already? I never thought about it.
I think they have to be activated individually.
All of the action figures we see are activated by someone. Mm-hmm. The Alan activates Chip and Archer, and then Chip activates all the other commandos with the a 10 hut activation code.
Right.
Okay, so I could see him knowing that, and they're probably put in their own boxes. Like, this is the Chip box, this is the blah 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 box, and he probably just doesn't open it.
Nope, murders them.
Or he just lights them on fire.
Oh, here's something we didn't talk about too: is that Archer totally abandons his crew.
Oh yeah,
to go with Alan. Like in the beginning of this film,
he's a piece of shit.
And it only leads to the basically murder of one of his troops when they have to basically cyborg him back together later. And yeah, so the ending, they bring the truck up, and then it's like the programmers also show up to talk about the hey, what's the problem with the toys? Keep in mind that we don't have any liability when it comes to lawsuits, and they're trying to cover their own ass, and then suddenly they get the siege of sieges comes upon with the commandos setting up, and it seems like they created these machines were created before and now they're using them, or they just got created in last hour or so.
I'm not sure on that one.
But yeah, Phil Hartman tries to surrender the Gorgonites, and they count the Gorgonite number at 16? 16? It's like, oh well, 7 Gorgonites, 9 humans, and it's like, uh-oh,
that's bad.
And then I love they give the tagline like of the film, like, we are the Commando Elite. Everything else is just a toy. And then of course the song starts to play. Tell me what you want, what you really want. I'm like, huh, what an interesting. And then they explain it away by like, what is it? Psychological warfare.
Yes.
The Marines did something similar in Grenada. And it's like, huh, what an interesting song choice for the end of this. But like, I'm kind of digging it.
They just want to use it, so they were like, we have a reason.
What's left of the scary Barbies are also there, so that's pretty neat. We get multiple commando deaths as they are murdered by the humans, which
mostly Kirsten Dunst.
Of course, the mom is lobbing flaming fireballs. I like Kirsten Dunst gets to ride a lawnmower later and mow down some commandos. That's pretty cool.
Like, she mentions multiple points in the movie, like, oh my god, it's so good you saved me. I'm like, no, bitch, you saved him a lot.
Like, a lot. And I really like the fact that the Gorgonites all of a sudden learn how to fight. Like, it's like they're programming, they can't get rid of their programming to lose.
They're giant fucking monsters, like...
So, when they start to fight, they start to mow down commandos left and right.
It's the ninja rule at that point.
Like, they just start to destroy everything. I'm like, guys, what? Maybe you could have done this before, and maybe we wouldn't have to activate a giant EMP to wipe out all these commandos. So yeah, they out of nowhere learn how to fight. And I think, the crazy Tasmanian devil dude is actually, like, super effective at it.
Yeah.
Like, he's just a whirlwind of chaos. The only one we don't see, Oculus doesn't really get into the fight that much. He's a horse for basically Archer, which is pretty demeaning.
He does have one scene, though, where
he has a great scene where he's in the background, where he's chasing two commandos, and then, like, the commandos must remember, like, oh yeah, he's just a fucking giant eye. So in that, he starts running backwards, and he's being chased by the commandos with, like, knives in their hands. He's like, oh shit, that's right, I'm just an eye, I can't really fight at all.
I don't have a function.
And yeah, the CG is a little hit and miss in this point because they can't really, some of the stuff they really can't do with some of the stop motion they were using before. I love that. Like, they made a fucking helicopter out of nowhere too. And like, they do get a distinct feeling of danger too because they're shooting sharp edge weapons. It does feel like, it doesn't really feel like anyone's gonna die, but there's a distinct feeling of danger. Yeah, I love the fact that Archer shows up to, like, save the day, because Alan is trying to cause one of those EMP things. That's one of the chip's only weakness is that it's sensitive to electromagnetic pulse, and it'll fry the circuitry or whatever. And I'm like, I'm pretty sure that's all electronical weaknesses, but fine, whatever. And the idea that they have is to stick a piece of metal in between some transformers to overcharge the circuit and explode and cause an EMP that way, because Phil Hartman tried that one time to power all the stuff in his house, because he's the tech guy. He's
also the jerk neighbor.
That's his thing. And Chip, like, starts to fire at him and gets shot down though. And starts to stab Alan's hands out to make him fall. And Archer comes in to save the day, like it's like a superhero theme. And then Archer gets his ass handed to him.
He's the only one that apparently doesn't know how to fight.
Like, after all the other Gorgonites start to whoop ass, I was actually kind of ready for Archer, like, yeah, Archer, let's get going. Use that crossbow arm that you got. Let's do this.
Nope. So you see, Nick, the problem is you forgot the ninja rule. Since it was a one-on-one fight, he lost.
Well, and then it's like, they even have the, like, Major Chip Hazard. Gorgonite scum. We meet again for the last time. And I'm just like, yeah, I'm into this. And then he just kicks Archer's ass off the thing. And
it was for the last time.
And it was like, oh, well, that didn't work out great.
Nope.
But Alan gets his revenge because Chip, he grabs up Chip and throws him in between the transformers.
Yeah, because Chip throws away his weapon at that point.
Victory! Victory is ours. Oh shit, that's right. There's this guy that I was about to murder.
Yeah, I just forgot about.
Damn it.
My hubris.
And he, he starts to electrify and fry. Kristen Dunst comes in to save Alan after he falls off of the,
Transformer.
After the Transformer starts to backfire. The EMP goes off and all of the, remaining commandos die very horrible deaths, that, they all feel, obviously. And at this point, they all, some of them melt, they scream bloody murder, we see the last, remains of Chip Hazard give his catchphrase, or whatever, and there will be no mercy, and, all is right with the world, except for, the Gorgonites obviously got caught up in the blast and died as well.
Oh, if only.
If only. But no, oh my god, they were saved by the satellite dish, Phil Hartman's satellite dish, because it shielded them from the EMP, which I'm no scientist. I'm almost positive that's not how EMPs work. I'm
at this point in the movie, who really cares?
I'm pretty sure that's not how a giant piece of metal saved them or whatever. But yeah, Denis Leary shows up, and I love how they never mention
bit. It's a great bit when he shows up. He's just everyone comes up to him and is like, how are you going to pay for this? You don't have enough money to do this. I lost this, and he just rips a check. Oh, okay.
Apparently you do.
Everyone has a little thing, it's not just that he gives the check. Everyone has a little moment, Dick Miller's I'd move the truck, but, I've had such emotional stress, and plus I think I might have messed up my neck, and then he gets the check, and he's like, whoa, right away, boss. I'll move that truck right now. And then Phil Hartman is like, well, hey buddy, there's a little bit about my house and the damage and all the things I've been through tonight. No, this is enough. This is good. Thanks. I don't know how much money is on these checks, but there has to be a staggering amount on these checks.
Probably a lot of zeros there.
Well, he comes to the Abernathy's, and of course, they're like, I don't know, there's also the damage to our house, not to mention the emotional damage to us and our son, we almost died because of your products. I don't even think you have enough money to cover that, and he gives him the check apparently you do.
Yep. This is so weird, too, because, this guy his only real, purpose in this movie is essentially the villain, when you really get down to it. And he just nope, he learns nothing at the end. He actually, makes things worse.
He makes things worse for the world, too. He's add a couple zeros. I know some people in South Africa that could use that.
Yeah.
Jeez.
Add a couple zeros to the price tag. I know some gorillas in South America that are going to find these toys very entertaining. And I'm what the fuck?
You are a terrible piece of shit.
How is that the lesson you've learned from this? How is not everyone else must learn the lesson we were not right to play God with artificial intelligence and to put them in toys, and you're like, nah, our problem was that we made them toys and not straight up murder weapons from the start.
And then he made Skynet.
No, this is the origin story for how Terminators get made.
Yeah.
This is ridiculous. Yeah, and then Alan finds the Gorgonites. He gets the girl at the end. The Gorgonites go off in their little boat to find Gorgon, or probably
and then they all die.
They all died.
That's what happens.
I'm almost positive that's how it happens. And it ends, and we get another soundtrack, a 90s soundtrack on the credits, and yeah, happy ending, everybody.
I guess.
Man, that ending is awesome. I love this assault on Precinct 13, but with toys instead of psychotic gang members. The fucking vehicles are cool. The one-liners are cool. The humans that actually start to fight back are really cool.
There's the Kirsten Dunst's mother who is drugged in the closet, but
she is so drunk. She is unbelievable. And
she's been drugged.
She was drinking before that. Remember the gin and tonic? And then they mixed in that sleeping aid with it too, so that probably didn't do her any favors.
She's probably not going to feel very well at the end of this.
Oh, look at the little monsters talk.
I love this song.
I love this song. But yeah, I really dig this, like, this crazy balls out ending, because you really think like it could have ended with just them falling off of the cliff there and with their vehicles exploded.
Mm-hmm.
They decided to go the extra mile and go like, yeah, all like there's like a shit ton of them. Like there's like hundreds of them now.
Had to go all the way, man.
Yeah, I also love that because the neighbors are awful. Like they
or are they the awful neighbors? I never really figured which one. Which.
The Phil Hartman is obviously not a favored member of the neighborhood, because they hear the music and they go like, that's Phil Hartman, that's that guy, and they just turn up their own TVs or close their windows, and I'm like, does no one have eyes? Nah. Like, it is very apparent that this fucking house is under siege. Like, there's no two ways about it.
Fuck them.
I don't know. It's just another really fun sequence that has some great, ups and downs and some suspense there. So, yeah, anything else we want to mention in the spoiler section before we get out of here? John, you have anything?
This movie's great. You definitely need to watch it, and if you want to be my lover, you got to get with my friends.
Well, point me to your friends, John, because I'm into it. But I really can't agree more about this being a really fun film. I had just fun watching it. It's just a great time, and it's different. Like I've not seen a film that's quite like it, other than probably Gremlins before.
Nick, it's different than other movies.
It's different. This movie likes Led Zeppelin. It's different than other.
Actually, that is kind of a thing, because Led Zeppelin does not allow their music to be played a lot of movies.
Yeah, I wonder how they got the rights to that. Like, did Joe Dante know a guy or something? I don't know. But yeah, I can't wait to, see a possible sequel where we get the Predator cast or a remake of this film.
Oh my god.
Like, let's do a remake. I'm totally into this if we actually get the Predator cast to avoid the Commandos this time around. Or maybe some new blood. I don't know. I want to see more murderous toys, I think.
Or maybe a Toy Story crossover.
Here, quick, we're gonna go watch the Puppet Master films. All 8 of them.
Oh god.
Including the one where they fight Nazis.
Eh.
But yeah, thank you guys so much for listening. We're gonna let you guys go and, hopefully watch Small Soldiers yourselves, you joyless sons of bitches. Come on. If you're not watching it after this, I don't know how much more convincing we could give you. But yes, thanks for joining us. Join us next week for whatever is on the docket for Netflix until there. And until then, we're Unapologists Geek Out, and we're out.